If you think today's shows are strange, clearly you haven't revisited the 70s. Back then, TV was a surreal mix of psychedelic puppets, quirky superheroes, and plots that only made sense if you didn't think too hard. These shows might be forgotten by most, but they left a lasting impression. Today we're diving into 20 forgotten TV shows from the 1970s that shaped our childhood. Don't forget to subscribe to Those Wonder Years and tell us which classic you'd love to see back on screen. Land of the Lost. Land of the Lost was the ultimate adventure for any kid in the 70s. This wasn't your average TV show. It was a wild, imaginative journey that took kids on a ride through a world filled with dinosaurs, time warps, and mysterious creatures. Imagine being part of the Marshall family, swept away into a land where danger lurked around every corner, especially from Grumpy, the intimidating T-Rex who showed up just when you thought things might calm down. And then there were the Sleestaks, those eerie, slow-moving, lizard-like beings with glowing eyes and that unforgettable hiss. Just the sight of a Sleestak could make you jump. The appeal of Land of the Lost lay in its mix of suspense, mystery, and family survival. Every episode felt like a new quest, with strange artifacts, hidden temples, and cryptic messages that made you wonder what was really going on. The Marshalls didn't just fight for survival, they were trying to unravel the secrets of this land, making it both a thrilling and cerebral experience for young viewers. It was a bit rough around the edges, but that made it all the more special. Who wouldn't want one more adventure in this prehistoric world, facing off against dinosaurs and uncovering ancient mysteries? Sigman and the Sea Monsters. Sigmund and the Sea Monsters was pure Croft magic, capturing the whimsy and weirdness of the 70s perfectly. Imagine finding a lost sea monster on the beach. A friendly one, kicked out by his family for being too nice. That's exactly what happens to Johnny and Scott, two brothers who stumble upon Sigmund, a lovable, oddball creature they decide to keep as a secret pet. The premise alone is every kid's dream, a hidden friend with big googly eyes and a heart of gold. The charm of Sigmund and the Sea Monsters lay in the innocence of its story and the hilarity of hiding a sea monster from adults. Every episode, you rooted for Sigmund to stay hidden while laughing at his antics and his struggle to adapt to human life. The show tapped into every kid's desire for adventure, friendship, and a little mischief. Watching it felt like being part of a secret world, and for kids of the 70s, Sigmund became as much a friend as he was a character on TV. Who wouldn't love to revisit those beachside adventures with the friendliest sea monster around? H.R. Puffin St.
H.R. Puffin St.
H.R. Puffin St. was like diving into a surreal fairy tale, with colors, characters, and songs that were as bizarre as they were enchanting. Jimmy, a boy with a magic flute, gets stranded on Living Island, where everything, from trees to clocks, has a life of its own. And then there's H.R. Puffinstuff, the island's mayor, who is part dragon and part friendly giant, always ready to help Jimmy escape the clutches of the witch Witchy Poo. It was like Alice in Wonderland with a 70s twist, full of psychedelic visuals that made every episode feel like a vivid dream. The show was playful yet packed with adventure, with Witchy Poo's schemes adding a touch of comedy and suspense. For kids, H.R. Puffinstuff was pure escapism, a world where anything was possible and where even the scariest villains had a humorous side. This was a show that didn't just entertain, it transported viewers to a fantastical realm where imagination reigned supreme. Watching it felt like opening a portal to another dimension. Who wouldn't want to visit Living Island again, where the magic was as real as the friendships? The Secrets of Isis.
Andrea Thomas, teacher.
Almighty Isis.
And Isis.
Before Wonder Woman, there was The Secrets of Isis, one of the first superhero shows to feature a strong female lead. Andrea Thomas was a mild-mannered schoolteacher, but when she invoked the powers of the Egyptian goddess Isis, she became a force to be reckoned with. Imagine watching her transform, calling on the power of the wind, or summoning lightning to stop the bad guys. For young girls, especially, seeing a woman save the day was groundbreaking. She was smart, compassionate, and powerful, a true hero. The Secrets of Isis combined mythology with modern-day justice, creating a show that felt both mystical and relevant. Andrea's transformation into Isis wasn't just a cool visual, it symbolized strength and confidence. Every episode, she taught kids the value of bravery, wisdom, and standing up for what's right. The show may be forgotten today, but for fans of the 70s, Isis was an icon, a reminder that heroes could come in all forms. Who wouldn't want to see Isis call on her powers and save the day one more time? Electro Woman and Dino Girl. Electro Woman and Dino Girl was the dynamic duo that girls in the 70s didn't know they needed until they saw it. Imagine two superheroines, dressed in brightly colored costumes, fighting crime with gadgets and cleverness. Electro Woman and her sidekick Dino Girl were like Batman and Robin, but with a unique, female-powered twist. Every episode saw them facing off against outlandish villains with names like the Empress of Evil and Glitter Rock, blending action with a dash of campy humor that made it unforgettable. The appeal of Electro Woman and Dino Girl lay in its blend of action and relatability. These weren't otherworldly figures, they were just two women using their wits and courage to keep the city safe. For young viewers, it was a refreshing change, offering heroines who were both strong and fun. With their Electra Change wrist devices, they always had a clever trick up their sleeves. The show may have had a short run, but its impact was lasting. Who wouldn't want to suit up and fight alongside Electro Woman and Dino Girl, taking on villains and making the world a better place, one Electra power at a time? Shazam! Long before superhero movies dominated the box office, kids of the 70s had Shazam to get their dose of heroics. The show followed Billy Batson, a young boy with a unique gift. Whenever he shouted the word Shazam, he was transformed into Captain Marvel, an adult superhero with the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, and powers from various mythological figures. Every kid dreamed of having a magic word that could turn them into a hero. Imagine shouting Shazam yourself and suddenly having superpowers. It was the ultimate fantasy. What made Shazam special was its mix of action, adventure, and moral lessons. Billy and his mentor traveled across the country in a van, meeting people who needed help. The show wasn't just about defeating villains, it was about standing up for what's right, helping others, and learning valuable life lessons along the way. Each episode ended with Captain Marvel offering a piece of wisdom, encouraging kids to be honest, brave, and kind. It was like a superhero show with a conscience, making it both exciting and meaningful. The Banana Splits Adventure Hour.
1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4 bananas make a bunch and so do many more.
The Banana Splits Adventure Hour was like a colorful, chaotic carnival brought to life. Hosted by 4 goofy, costumed animal characters, Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper, and Snorky, the show was a blend of live-action comedy, animation, and music. Each character had their unique personality, and together they created a world where anything could happen. Remember the catchy theme song, Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la? It's the kind of tune that sticks with you for life. Just hearing it was enough to get kids bouncing along, ready for whatever craziness the Banana Splits had in store. The show wasn't just about the antics of Fleagle and his friends. It also featured animated segments and miniseries within the show, like Danger Island and The Arabian Nights, each filled with adventure, action, and a touch of comedy. The Banana Splits Adventure Hour was a variety show for kids, offering different kinds of fun in each segment. It was a wild mix that kept viewers on their toes, never knowing what would come next. For kids in the 70s, The Banana Splits was pure entertainment, a show where imagination knew no bounds. It felt like a playground where music, humor, and fantasy collided. Who wouldn't want to dive back into that world, where every episode felt like a new adventure and every character brought a smile? Lidsville.
Lidsville is a cookies. Lidsville is a kiss. Lidsville is a groovy.
If Alice in Wonderland had a 70s makeover with a psychedelic twist, you'd get Lidsville. This was another creation from Sid and Marty Croft, known for their fantastical and slightly surreal children's shows. Lidsville was all about a boy named Mark who falls into a giant magician's hat and ends up in a bizarre world where everyone is, well, a hat. In Lidsville, hats talk, walk, and have personalities all their own, from cowboy hats to chef's hats. It was weird, whimsical, and a little wacky. The perfect formula to capture a kid's attention. Each episode followed Mark's attempts to escape Lidsville, often thwarted by the evil magician Horatio J. Hoodoo, who was as ridiculous as he was menacing. Remember the mix of laughter and a little bit of nervousness you felt whenever Hoodoo appeared? That was part of the magic. Lidsville took kids on a journey through a world unlike anything else on TV. It wasn't logical, but it was colorful, strange, and so much fun to watch. Captain Kangaroo.
Good morning, Captain. Come on out and play.
Kangaroo. Captain Kangaroo wasn't just a show. It was like visiting a friend every morning. With his big pockets, gentle manner, and friendly smile, Captain Kangaroo, played by Bob Keeshan, was the ultimate comforting presence. He welcomed kids into his world with warmth, humor, and a sense of wonder that made every episode feel like a special visit. The show combined storytelling, puppetry, and little life lessons, creating a calm, engaging experience that made kids feel safe and valued. Captain Kangaroo featured beloved characters like Mr. Green Jeans, the eccentric farmer, and Bunny Rabbit, the mischievous little puppet who loved to trick the captain. Each character added something unique to the show, creating a community that felt real and welcoming. Watching Captain Kangaroo was like hanging out with a fun uncle who always had something interesting to share. In a world of fast-paced cartoons, Captain Kangaroo was a gentle reminder to slow down and enjoy the little things. The show taught kindness, patience, and curiosity without ever feeling preachy. For kids of the 70s, it was a safe place to start the day. Imagine sitting down with the captain one more time, listening to his stories and getting lost in his friendly magical world. The Bugaloos.
Oh, Sparky, soon your view will all.
The Bugaloos was a mix of music, fantasy, and fun, brought to life by Sid and Marty Croft. This live-action series followed a group of insect-themed teenagers, Joy, Courage, IQ, and Harmony, who lived in Tranquility Forest and could fly with the help of their bug wings. Think of it as a mix between the Monkees and Peter Pan, with a dash of 70s rock thrown in for good measure. They had catchy songs, zany adventures, and a villain in the form of Benita Bizarre, a jealous singer who lived in a jukebox and was constantly trying to sabotage the Bugaloos' harmony. The Bugaloos didn't just solve problems, they sang their way through life, spreading joy and friendship. Each episode featured original songs that stuck in your head long after the show ended. The Bugaloos were a symbol of carefree youth and positivity, and for kids, they represented the ultimate fantasy, living in a magical forest surrounded by friends and always managing to outsmart the bad guys. Watching The Bugaloos was like being part of a whimsical band that valued friendship and fun above all else. The show's upbeat songs and colorful visuals made it a joy to watch, and it gave kids a sense of belonging. Who wouldn't want to spend another day in Tranquility Forest flying alongside the Bugaloos and singing their hearts out? If Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
Hey, hey, hey! It's Fat Albert, and I'm gonna sing a song.
Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids was more than just a cartoon. It was a lesson in friendship, community, and growing up. Created by Bill Cosby, the show followed Fat Albert and his group of friends as they navigated the challenges of childhood in their urban neighborhood. Each episode tackled real-life issues like bullying, self-esteem, and honesty, making it one of the first animated shows to bring social topics to Saturday morning TV. Do you remember that iconic line? Hey, hey, hey? Just hearing it brings back memories of those afternoons spent learning valuable life lessons in the most entertaining way. Fat Albert and his friends, Meeshmouth, Rudy, Dumb Donald, and the rest of the gang were relatable and memorable, each with their own quirks and personalities. And the Junkyard Band? Absolute classic. Using makeshift instruments from found objects, they'd end each episode with a song that reinforced the lesson of the day. It was fun and meaningful at the same time, showing kids that they could make a difference in their world. Fat Albert wasn't just a character, he was a role model, a friend, and a guide through some of childhood's toughest moments. For kids of the 70s, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids wasn't just a cartoon, it was a piece of their lives. Who wouldn't want to join the gang in the junkyard one more time, listening to a new tune and learning a lesson that sticks with you? The new ScoobyDoo Movies.
Hey, Scooby! Where are you?
The new ScoobyDoo movies took everything that kids loved about the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, and turned it up a notch with a fun twist: celebrity guest stars. Imagine the thrill of seeing Scooby and the gang team up with Batman and Robin, the Three Stooges, or even Sonny and Cher to solve a mystery. It was the ultimate crossover event before crossovers were even a thing, bringing pop culture icons and beloved cartoon characters together in ways that blew young minds. Each episode followed the familiar format. Scooby, Shaggy, Fred, Daphne, and Velma stumble upon a mystery, usually involving a ghost or monster, but now they had famous help. Do you remember the excitement of wondering who would show up next? It added an element of surprise and made each episode feel like an event. The celebrity appearances kept the show fresh and exciting, and the longer episode length allowed for more elaborate plots and gags. For fans, the new ScoobyDoo movies was a dream come true. It was like having your favorite characters meet your other favorite characters, all in one place. Who wouldn't want to ride in the Mystery Machine and see what other surprises were in store? Josie and the Pussycats.
Josie and the Pussycats! Josie and the Pussycats!
Josie and the Pussycats was the ultimate mix of music, mystery, and adventure, starring an all-girl rock band who found themselves solving mysteries while on tour. Inspired by Archie comics, the show featured Josie, the lead singer, Valerie, the brainy bassist, and Melody, the ditzy but lovable drummer. They were fun, fashionable, and fiercely independent, ideal role models for girls who wanted to see strong female characters having adventures of their own. Each episode took Josie and her bandmates to new and exotic locations where they inevitably encountered villains and got swept up in mystery solving. It was like a musical version of Scooby-Doo with catchy songs and a bit of glam rock flair. And who could forget their iconic costumes, those leopard print outfits that were as memorable as the band's catchy tunes. Their theme song alone is enough to bring back waves of nostalgia. Josie and the Pussycats, long tails and ears for hats. For kids of the 70s, Josie and the Pussycats was a breath of fresh air, showing girls that they could rock out and save the day, all while looking fabulous. Who wouldn't want to join the band for one more adventure, playing music and solving mysteries along the way? Super Friends. Super Friends was the superhero team-up show that kids in the 70s couldn't get enough of. Featuring DC Comics legends like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, this show was a powerhouse lineup of heroes fighting villains to protect the world. Watching Super Friends felt like joining an elite team. Every episode brought the excitement of seeing the world's greatest superheroes working together. It was action-packed, inspiring, and showed kids that teamwork and bravery could overcome any evil. The show also introduced new characters like Wonder Twin Zan and Gina, who added a fun, youthful vibe with their unique Wonder Twin powers. And who could forget their blue monkey sidekick, Gleek? They brought humor and freshness to the team dynamic, making the heroes feel more relatable to young viewers. Each episode, the heroes faced different threats, from mad scientists to natural disasters, teaching kids about courage, friendship, and helping others. For kids, Super Friends wasn't just a show, it was an invitation to believe in heroes and imagine that they too could make a difference. Who wouldn't want to spend one more Saturday morning watching their favorite superheroes save the day? Speed Buggy. Speed Buggy was a show about friendship, adventure, and a talking dune buggy named, well, Speed Buggy. Speed Buggy wasn't just any car, he was a lovable, sentient character with a personality all his own. Imagine a cross between Scooby-Doo and the Love Bug with a dash of 70s charm thrown in. Speed Buggy, along with his friends Tinker, Debbie, and Mark, would travel around solving mysteries and competing in races, often facing villains who tried to sabotage their efforts. For kids, Speed Buggy was the ultimate buddy, bringing laughter, action, and a bit of slapstick comedy to every episode. Watching his adventures was pure fun, and the dynamic between Speed Buggy and his friends made the show feel like one big road trip with your best pal. The show's lighthearted tone and lovable characters made it easy for kids to get lost in the excitement, rooting for Speed Buggy and his crew every step of the way. Speed Buggy embodied the spirit of the 70s with a mix of adventure, friendship, and a bit of fantasy. For fans, it was a show that made every Saturday morning feel like an adventure on wheels. Who wouldn't want to hop in for one last ride with Speed Buggy and the gang racing toward fun and mystery? Schoolhouse Rock.
Your schoolhouse rockin', a chip on the block, on your favorite Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock wasn't your typical Saturday morning cartoon. It was the cartoon that actually made learning cool. This series of short animated music videos covered everything from grammar to math to history, using catchy songs that somehow made things like multiplication tables and American government genuinely fun. Remember Conjunction Junction, What's Your Function, or I'm Just a Bill? These songs weren't just catchy, they were downright unforgettable. For kids growing up in the 70s, Schoolhouse Rock was that rare educational content that didn't feel like homework. It felt like a jam session that happened to make you smarter. Each episode was a standalone lesson set to music, and the animation was simple but memorable, with characters and lyrics that stuck with you long after the show ended. Schoolhouse Rock managed to make topics like the legislative process and parts of speech accessible to kids in a way that textbooks never could. Even decades later, you can probably remember how a noun is a person, place, or thing. Thanks to these little musical masterpieces, the show blurred the lines between entertainment and education, proving that learning didn't have to be boring. Space Ghost. Space Ghost. Before Space Ghost was known for hosting a talk show in the 90s, he was a straight-up superhero defending the galaxy from villains. Space Ghost was an animated action show that took kids on intergalactic adventures, introducing them to a whole new universe of heroes, villains, and outer space battles. Space Ghost, with his iconic white suit and flowing cape, was joined by his teenage sidekicks, Jan and Jace, and their pet monkey, Blip. Together they fought evil with the help of Space Ghost's Inviso power, laser beams, and a variety of futuristic gadgets. For kids, Space Ghost was pure sci-fi excitement. It was filled with strange planets, powerful villains, and epic showdowns that made you want to suit up and save the galaxy yourself. The animation style was classic, and Space Ghost's gadgets and abilities made him one of the coolest superheroes on TV. Watching him zap enemies with his wristbands or go invisible to sneak up on villains was the height of excitement for young viewers. Although the original series didn't have a long run, Space Ghost's impact was lasting. He became a cult icon, and his revival in the 90s as a comedic talk show host only added to his legacy. For fans of the original Space Ghost, he'll always be remembered as a heroic protector of the universe. Who wouldn't want to take a trip back to those days of outer space battles and heroic adventures? Kong Fuy.
Could be Kong Fuy.
Kong Fuy was the karate-chopping superhero we never knew we needed. A mild-mannered janitor by day, a crime-fighting martial artist by night, or whenever trouble called. This goofy, lovable dog donned a red robe and black mask to become Kong Fuy, the world's most unlikely hero. With his trusty sidekick, Spot the Cat, and his Hong Kong Book of Kung Fu, Kong Fuy took on villains with a mix of slapstick humor and accidental heroics that had kids laughing and cheering him on. What made Kong Fuy so memorable was his total lack of actual skill. He wasn't a trained martial artist, and his moves usually ended in hilarious mishaps. Yet somehow, things always worked out, often thanks to Spot's unnoticed help. The theme song was an instant classic. Who's the super cool cop? It's Kong Fuy, and his transformation from janitor to superhero was as amusing as it was iconic. Every episode was a blend of action and comedy that kept kids glued to the screen. For fans, Kong Fuy was all about cheering for the underdog, literally, and laughing at his mishaps. Imagine sitting down to watch him bumble through another crime-fighting adventure, secretly knowing Spot would save the day. Who wouldn't want to join Kong Fuy for one more kung fu adventure? The Wombles.
Wombling free, the Wombles of Wimbledon, common are we.
The Wombles was a British import that taught kids the importance of taking care of the environment long before going green was a trend. These furry creatures lived on Wimbledon Common and spent their days picking up litter and finding creative ways to reuse it. Each Womble had a unique personality. There was wise old Great Uncle Bulgaria, energetic Orinoco, and practical-minded Tobermory, among others. For kids, the Wombles' message of environmental stewardship was easy to understand and made recycling seem like a fun adventure. With its charming animation and lovable characters, the Wombles quickly became a favorite. Each episode showed the Wombles finding human litter and turning it into something useful, a concept that fascinated kids and made them think twice about throwing things away. The Wombles were like eco-friendly role models, showing that even the smallest actions could make a difference. Their creativity in repurposing trash made the show not only entertaining but also subtly educational. For 70s kids, the Wombles was more than just a cartoon. It was a call to action. It taught them that taking care of the planet was everyone's responsibility. Who wouldn't want to hang out with the Wombles again, learning new ways to turn trash into treasure? The Croft Super Show. The Croft Super Show was like a theme park in TV form created by the genius minds of Sid and Marty Croft. This variety show featured several miniseries, each with its own wild concept and colorful characters. Hosted by the fictional band Captain Cool and the Kongs, the show introduced kids to Electro Woman and Dino Girl, Dr. Shrinker, Wonderbug, and other unforgettable segments. It was like a buffet of fantasy, adventure, and superhero action all rolled into one, with each story bringing something different to the table. For kids, the Croft Super Show was a roller coaster of excitement. You never knew which adventure you'd get next. Maybe Electro Woman and Dino Girl would be fighting a villain, or Wonderbug would be zooming through a chase scene. The Kongs added a musical touch, making the show feel like a mini concert interspersed with fantasy. Sid and Marty Croft's signature style, a mix of campy humor, quirky plots, and outlandish characters, made it impossible not to get hooked. For 70s kids, this show was a weekly adventure that kept them on the edge of their seats. Imagine being able to tune in again, not knowing which strange new story awaited. Who wouldn't want to revisit the Croft Super Show for one more round of fun fantasy and unforgettable characters? These forgotten TV shows might have faded from the screen, but they'll always be a part of our childhood memories. From learning life lessons with Fat Albert to singing along with Schoolhouse Rock and cheering for heroes like Space Ghost, these shows shaped who we were and how we saw the world. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to Those Wonder Years and let us know in the comments, which of these forgotten shows do you miss most? Let's keep the memories alive, one classic show at a time.